Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted and then felt like the world itself became unsafe? Have you ever told yourself you should be over it by now, but the memory still shows up like a sudden storm? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about betrayal, not as gossip, not as a drama story, but as one of the sharpest inner tests life can give you. Because betrayal is not only about what someone did. Betrayal is also about what it does to your mind. It shakes your sense of reality. It damages your ability to trust. It can turn you bitter, or it can turn you wise, depending on how you work with it. There are two main points I want to explore with you. First, getting over betrayal is not about forgetting. It is about rebuilding your inner stability so the event stops controlling your present. Second, the way you heal determines your future relationships, your destiny, and even your character. Because betrayal is like fire. It can burn you into cynicism, or it can forge you into clarity and compassion. Let me tell you a story. I will tell it slowly. Because betrayal is never only one moment. It is a whole chain of moments. And healing is also a chain. There was a man named Ethan. He was the kind of person people trusted without thinking twice. He showed up. He kept promises. He did not play games. He believed life was basically fair if you were basically good. Not perfect, but good. Ethan had a close friend named Marcus. They met in college and stayed close afterward. They had the kind of friendship where you can be silent together and still feel connected. Marcus knew Ethan's family. Ethan knew Marcus' dreams. They talked about business ideas, relationships, life plans. Ethan believed Marcus was a brother, not just a friend. When Ethan started a small company, Marcus was the first person he called. Marcus supported him early, gave advice, introduced him to people. Ethan felt grateful. He told himself that success would not change him and it would not change them. He was naive in a beautiful way, the way people are naive when they still believe loyalty is automatic. As the company grew, Ethan became busy. Long days, long nights, constant decisions. Marcus was still there, still supportive, still joking, still acting like the friendship was the same, and maybe on the surface it was. Then one day Ethan got an email from a client, a confused message that did not make sense at first. The client thanked Ethan for the proposal and said they were excited to move forward, but the numbers did not match what Ethan had discussed. The client attached a document. Ethan opened it and felt his stomach tighten. The document was branded like his company, but it was not his. The pricing was different. The promises were different. It looked like someone had copied Ethan's proposal and altered it. At first, Ethan thought it was a mistake. Maybe the client mixed up files. Maybe a competitor did something shady. Ethan was annoyed but not alarmed. He called Marcus because Marcus had been involved in early client conversations. Marcus said he had no idea. Marcus sounded calm, almost bored. Ethan told himself it was nothing. But the next week, another client mentioned a similar situation. Then another. Ethan started digging. He checked internal access logs. He followed small inconsistencies. He noticed that certain files had been opened at odd hours. He traced it back to a user account that should not have been active. Then he saw a name, Marcus. Ethan stared at the screen like his brain refused to accept the shape of reality. It felt unreal, like reading a story about someone else. The mind does this when truth is too painful. It creates distance. It tries to protect you from the impact. Ethan called Marcus immediately. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. He asked directly, Did you access these files? Marcus laughed softly and said Ethan was being paranoid. Marcus said Ethan was stressed. Marcus said Ethan was imagining things. That moment was the second betrayal. The first betrayal was the action. The second betrayal was the denial. Because when someone betrays you and then lies about it, they are not only hurting you, they are trying to steal your reality. Ethan felt anger rise, but it mixed with confusion. He wanted to believe Marcus. He wanted the simplest explanation. He wanted to go back to a world where friends do not do this. So Ethan asked again, calmer, slower. Marcus got defensive. He said Ethan was ungrateful. He said Ethan had changed. He said Ethan always thought he was better than everyone else now. The conversation flipped. Suddenly Marcus was the victim and Ethan was the villain. This is one of the most disorienting things about betrayal. It does not only break trust, it tries to break your self-image. You start asking yourself if you caused it. You start replaying every interaction. You start hunting for mistakes, as if finding your mistake will restore control. Ethan ended the call and sat in silence. He felt a pressure in his chest, like grief had turned into stone. He did not cry. He could not. His body was still in shock. That night, he could not sleep. His mind kept replaying the friendship, searching for clues. It remembered moments when Marcus made small jealous jokes. It remembered moments when Marcus acted supportive but seemed annoyed when Ethan succeeded. It remembered how Marcus sometimes disappeared when Ethan needed him, then returned when Ethan had good news. Ethan had ignored those signs because he did not want to be the kind of person who doubts a friend. Now those signs looked like a map. The next morning, Ethan did what many people do after betrayal. He tried to fix it with logic. He told himself, maybe Marcus was desperate. Maybe Marcus needed money. Maybe Marcus thought Ethan would not notice. Maybe Marcus did not mean to harm him. These thoughts are not only about compassion. Sometimes they are about fear. Because if betrayal is random and cruel, the world feels unsafe. But if betrayal has a reason, then it feels controllable. The mind prefers a painful reason to a chaotic reality. Ethan confronted Marcus in person. Marcus arrived with a confident smile. He acted relaxed, like Ethan was overreacting. Ethan showed the evidence. Marcus stared at it, then shrugged. Marcus said something that Ethan never forgot. He said, "You would have done the same if you were smart." That sentence was like poison. It suggested that loyalty was foolish, that integrity was weakness, that everyone is selfish, and Ethan was just slow to accept it. Ethan felt rage. He wanted to punch a wall. He wanted to scream. He wanted to destroy something. But he also felt something else, something colder. He felt his heart closing. This is the danger point after betrayal. The betrayal itself hurts, but the deeper danger is what you become because of it. If you close your heart completely, you may protect yourself from pain, but you also block joy. You become guarded, suspicious, distant. You may survive, but you do not fully live. If you stay naive and pretend it did not happen, you remain vulnerable to repeating the pattern because you did not learn. Wisdom is neither closing completely nor staying naive. Wisdom is learning without hardening. Ethan told Marcus to leave. He cut him off. He informed clients. He protected the company. He did what he had to do. On the outside, he handled it well. But inside, the betrayal kept living. He started noticing changes in himself. When someone praised him, he wondered what they wanted. When someone offered help, he looked for hidden motives. When someone apologized for a small mistake, he waited for the next lie. he became hyper-aware. This hypervigilance is common. After betrayal, the nervous system treats life like a threat. Even calm moments feel suspicious. The body stays tense. The mind scans for danger. Ethan also developed another habit. He imagined revenge, not necessarily dramatic, but he fantasized about humiliating Marcus, exposing him publicly, making him suffer. He told himself it was justice, but deep down he knew it was pain looking for a place to go. Here is a hard truth. Betrayal creates a wound, and the wounded mind often wants to transfer the wound to someone else so it feels lighter. That is how cycles of harm continue. Ethan did not act on revenge. He had enough restraint, but he carried the bitterness like a hidden backpack, heavy, constant. Then one evening, months later, he sat with an older mentor named Jonah. Jonah was not a therapist, not a spiritual teacher in a traditional sense, just an older man who had lived enough to see patterns. Jonah listened quietly. Ethan told him everything: the friendship, the evidence, the denial, the sentence about being smart. Ethan expected Jonah to say Marcus was evil or that Ethan should crush him. Jonah did not. Jonah said, "You are not only grieving the loss of a friend, you are grieving the death of a belief. You believed loyalty was guaranteed. You believed good behavior would protect you. You believed the world was fair. That belief is gone now. So you are mourning more than a person. You are mourning your old map of reality." That hit Ethan deeply. Because yes, he missed Marcus, but he also missed who he used to be before the betrayal. Jonah continued. He said, "If you want to heal, you must do two things at the same time. You must tell the truth about what happened, and you must choose what kind of person you will become because of it. That is the real work." Many people think healing is a feeling. They think one day you wake up and it no longer hurts. But healing is often a decision repeated over time. The decision not to let the past own your present. The decision not to become the shadow of your wound. Jonah asked Ethan a question. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be free? Ethan did not know how to answer. Being right mattered because it meant he was not crazy. It meant the betrayal was real. It meant he was justified in his anger. But freedom mattered because he was tired. He was tired of carrying Marcus in his mind every day. This is a spiritual principle that shows up in many traditions. Attachment creates suffering. After betrayal, we become attached to the story. We replay it. We rehearse arguments. We imagine different outcomes. The mind thinks this will create closure, but it often creates deeper grooves of pain. So how do you loosen attachment without denying reality? You start by separating facts from interpretations. The fact is that Marcus stole and lied. The interpretation is that Ethan is foolish, that no one can be trusted, that kindness is weakness, that the world is dirty. The interpretations are what poison the future. Ethan began a practice. Whenever the story replayed, he would pause and name the layers. Fact, then interpretation. He would say silently, "The fact is betrayal happened. The interpretation is that I can never trust again." Then he would question the interpretation. Is it true that no one can be trusted? Or is it true that one person betrayed me? This might sound simple, but it is powerful. The mind after trauma loves to generalize. It turns a single event into a worldview. That worldview becomes a prison. Ethan also faced another truth. Part of him felt ashamed. He felt ashamed he did not see it earlier. He felt ashamed he trusted. He felt ashamed he introduced Marcus to people. He felt ashamed that he could be fooled. Shame is like acid. It does not only burn the past, It burns the self. Jonah told him something that Ethan needed to hear. He said, "Trusting is not stupidity. Trusting is a human risk. The person who betrays you is responsible for their action. Your responsibility is to learn, not to punish yourself." That is compassion turned inward. In Buddhist language, you could call this right view, seeing clearly without self-hatred, seeing cause and effect without turning it into personal condemnation. Ethan began to notice that his bitterness had a strange pleasure. It made him feel strong. It made him feel protected. It made him feel superior to people who still trusted easily. But that pleasure came with a cost. It isolated him, so he tried something else. He practiced equanimity, not coldness, but balance. He allowed anger to exist without feeding it. He allowed sadness to exist without drowning in it. He observed emotions like weather passing through the sky of awareness. This is not about suppressing emotion. Suppression creates explosion later. It is about experiencing emotion without becoming it. On days when the memory hit hard, Ethan went for long walks without distractions. He felt his breath. He listened to sounds. He let thoughts rise and fall. He did not chase them. He did not wrestle them. He watched. At first it was unbearable. The mind would scream, "You are weak for letting this go." The mind would scream, "You must make him pay." The mind would scream, "You are a fool." But Ethan kept practicing. Slowly, the volume lowered, not because the mind stopped producing thoughts, but because Ethan stopped treating every thought like truth. This is one of the central skills of healing, not controlling thoughts, but changing your relationship to them. Months passed. Ethan's company stabilized. New clients came. Life moved on, yet the betrayal still lingered in certain moments, especially when Ethan got close to someone new. He started dating a woman named Lily. Lily was kind, patient, emotionally present. She did not play games, but Ethan noticed he was waiting for her to disappoint him when she did something small, like replying late to a message. His mind created stories. She is hiding something. She is losing interest. She will betray you. Ethan recognized the pattern. The betrayal had trained his nervous system to treat uncertainty like danger. So Ethan chose honesty. He told Lily, not the details at first, but the truth. He said he had been betrayed by someone close, and sometimes it made him anxious. Lily did not judge him. She did not mock him. She did not say he was too sensitive. She listened. That listening became a medicine, not because Lily fixed him, but because it showed Ethan a different reality. Not everyone responds with denial and blame. Some people respond with care. This is important. After betrayal, you rebuild trust not by forcing yourself to trust everyone. You rebuild trust by collecting new evidence of safety through real experiences, slowly, consciously. Trust is not a switch. It is a bridge built plank by plank. Ethan also learned the difference between openness and blind trust. Openness is having a heart that can connect. Blind trust is ignoring signals and surrendering boundaries. A wise person can be open and also discerning. Discernment means you watch actions, not words. You observe consistency. You notice whether someone can take responsibility. You notice whether someone speaks truthfully even when it is uncomfortable. You notice whether someone respects boundaries. Betrayal can't teach discernment, and that is not a bad lesson. The problem is when discernment becomes paranoia. Paranoia assumes danger without evidence. Discernment observes evidence without panic. Ethan practiced a new inner rule. I will not punish the present for the sins of the past. I will not hand out trust cheaply, but I will not withhold humanity. That balance is the middle way. Now, I want to tell you about a turning point that happened for Ethan, because it shows what forgiveness really isn't, what it is not. One day, Ethan received a message from an unknown number. It was Marcus. Marcus said he wanted to talk. He said he had been going through a hard time. He said he regretted what happened. He said he wanted to make peace. Ethan felt a surge of anger. He felt the old story wake up. He wanted to respond with something sharp. He wanted to tell Marcus he was disgusting. He wanted to remind him of every consequence. But then Ethan paused, not because Marcus deserved kindness, because Ethan deserved peace. Ethan remembered Jonah's question, "Do you want to be right, or do you want to be free?" He also remembered another principle. You do not forgive to help the person who harmed you. You forgive to stop carrying them inside you. Forgiveness does not mean reconnection. Forgiveness does not mean trust. Forgiveness does not mean you pretend it was fine. Forgiveness means you release the desire to keep drinking poison just because someone else handed it to you. Ethan replied with one sentence, "I accept your regret. I do not want contact. I wish you clarity." Marcus sent more messages, trying to argue, trying to explain, trying to trigger guilt. Ethan did not engage. He blocked the number. After blocking, Ethan felt something surprising. He felt grief, but also relief. He realized that the strongest boundary is not hate. The strongest boundary is calm finality. That day, Ethan did not become a saint. He still had moments of bitterness, but he saw the path. Now I want to bring this to you, because maybe your betrayal is not about business. Maybe it is romantic. Maybe a partner cheated. Maybe a friend lied. Maybe someone spread rumors. Maybe someone you trusted turned your vulnerability into a weapon. Different stories, same inner wound. The wound often says, "I was not safe. I was not valued. I was foolish. I was powerless." Healing means responding to each of those messages with wisdom. To "I was not safe," you respond by creating safety now. You build boundaries. You choose honest people. You take your time. You regulate your nervous system. You learn to calm your body. Safety is not only external, it is also internal. A stable mind is a safe home. To "I was not valued," you respond by valuing yourself, not with arrogance, but with self-respect. You stop begging for crumbs. You stop negotiating your dignity. You treat yourself like someone worth protecting. To "I was foolish," you respond by reframing. You were human. You took a risk. You learn it. The person who betrayed you used your openness. That reflects on them, not your worth. To "I was powerless," you respond by taking back agency. You cannot undo the past, but you can decide what the past will shape. You can decide what boundaries you set. You can decide what kind of relationships you allow. You can decide what kind of person you become. This is karma in everyday form. Your next action is a cause. Your next habit is a cause. Your next choice is a cause. Those causes create effects in your future. If you respond to betrayal by becoming cruel, you plant seeds of isolation. If you respond to betrayal by becoming wise, you plant seeds of stable love. Now, I want to talk about a subtle trap that many people fall into after betrayal. They confuse healing with proving. They want to prove they are strong. They want to prove they are not hurt. They want to prove they can move on quickly. They want to prove the betrayer lost something valuable. But proving is still attachment. Proving means your identity is still tied to the event. True healing is when you do not need to prove anything. You simply live. Ethan went through a phase like this. He worked harder. He posted achievements. He wanted Marcus to see and regret. But eventually he realized that this was still Marcus controlling his mind from a distance. Ethan did not want success as revenge. Ethan wanted success as expression. So he stopped taming his life at the shadow of the betrayer. He aimed his life at his values. Values are crucial after betrayal. Betrayal can make your mind chaotic. Values give you direction. Ask yourself, after betrayal, what do I want to stand for? Do I want to stand for truth? Do I want to stand for integrity? Do I want to stand for compassion with boundaries? Do I want to stand for courage? When you act from values, you rebuild self-respect. And self-respect is one of the deepest medicines. Now let me share a story from another angle. Because betrayal does not always come from someone obviously selfish. Sometimes betrayal comes from someone weak. There was a woman named Naomi who had a close friend named Jenna. Naomi trusted Jenna completely. Naomi shared secrets, fears, hopes, and private moments. Jenna listened with warmth. Then Naomi went through a breakup. She was shattered. She cried on Jenna's couch. She told Jenna things she had never told anyone. Jenna hugged her and said, "You are safe with me." Weeks later, Naomi discovered Jenna had been telling those secrets to a group of friends, framed as gossip and jokes. Naomi heard it from someone else, someone who felt guilty and warned her. Naomi confronted Jenna. Jenna cried. Jenna said she did not mean it. Jenna said she was just trying to fit in. Jenna said she felt pressured. Jenna said she was sorry. Naomi felt confused. Jenna did not seem evil. Jenna seemed weak. This kind of betrayal creates a different pain. It makes you question empathy. It makes you wonder if kindness is dangerous. It makes you wonder if people can really hold your vulnerability. Naomi made a wise choice. She did not punish Jenna, but she also did not continue the same intimacy. She forgave internally. Then she changed the relationship structure. She became friendly but not vulnerable. She kept boundaries. That is discernment. Sometimes the lesson of betrayal is not to become harsh. It is to become selective. Not everyone deserves your inner world. Not everyone can hold it. Giving vulnerability to someone who cannot hold it is like pouring water into a cracked cup. It is not evil, but it is not wise. This brings me to a key point. Healing after betrayal is also learning better boundaries and better standards. Better standards are not perfection. Better standards are clarity. You learn to watch for consistency. You learn to watch for accountability. You learn to notice manipulation. You learn to notice whether someone can sit with discomfort without lying. These skills are not cynicism. They are wisdom. Now, I want to address one more inner battle, the one that traps many people for years, the battle with imagined justice. After betrayal, the mind demands fairness. It wants the betrayer to suffer equally. It wants the world to balance the scales. Sometimes the world does. Sometimes it does not. If you attach your peace to whether the betrayer gets punished, you give them power over your future. Ethan learned to separate justice from peace. Justice is external, legal, social, practical. You can pursue it when appropriate. Peace is internal, spiritual, psychological. You can cultivate it even when justice is incomplete. A wise person does both when possible, but does not confuse them. In spiritual language, you can say this: you do your duty, then you release attachment to outcomes. In human language, you handle what you can control, then you stop burning yourself over what you cannot. Ethan handled what he could. He secured his business. He warned clients. He learned lessons. Then he released the rest. Not perfectly, not quickly, but gradually. The gradual part matters. Healing is not a single moment. It is 1,000 small choices. A small choice to breathe instead of spiraling. A small choice to journal instead of texting something destructive. A small choice to talk to a trusted friend instead of isolating. A small choice to exercise, to sleep, to eat, to care for the body, because the body holds trauma. A small choice to notice when bitterness tries to become your identity. Every small choice is a karmic seed. Now, I want to bring the story to a place that many people fear. The fear that betrayal means you will never love the same way again. It is true that you may not love with the same innocence. But innocence is not the only form of love. There is also wise love. Wise love is not naive. It is open but discerning. Wise love does not rush. It takes time. Wise love does not ignore red flags. It also does not create red flags out of every shadow. Wise love is stable. Ethan eventually reached a moment where he could think of Marcus without shaking. He did not feel warmth. He did not feel desire for reunion. He felt neutrality. Neutrality is underrated. Neutrality means the event has been integrated. It has become part of your history, not the center of your identity. Ethan also noticed something else. The betrayal gave him a strange gift. It forced him to build inner strength. It forced him to learn boundaries. It forced him to understand human nature better. It forced him to stop assuming and start observing. He did not thank Marcus. He did not romanticize the pain, but he used the pain as a teacher. This is an important distinction. You do not have to call suffering good. You only have to decide what you will do with it. Now let me bring it all together in a way that lands in your life. If you are currently healing from betrayal, here is what I want you to remember. Your mind will try to replay the story to find safety. Gently guide it back to the present. Your nervous system will treat uncertainty like danger. Train your body with breath and grounding so you can feel safe again. Your ego will want revenge to restore pride. Choose dignity instead. Dignity is quiet power. Your heart will be tempted to close forever. Do not close. Protect it with boundaries, not with bitterness. Your future will be shaped by what you practice now. Practice awareness. Practice compassion. Practice discernment. Practice patience. And be careful with one dangerous sentence that people say after betrayal. They say, "I will never trust again." That sentence sounds strong, but it is actually surrender. It is surrendering your future connections to one past event. You can trust again, but you will trust differently. You will trust with eyes open. You will trust with standards. You will trust with self-respect. Now I want to share something that often creates the strongest resonance. Most people who have been betrayed are not only angry at the betrayer, they are also angry at themselves. They say, "I should have known. I was stupid." If that is you, please hear this. The ability to trust is not stupidity. It is a human capacity. Without trust, society collapses, friendship collapses, love collapses. You used a human capacity. Someone else abused it. Your job is not to kill the capacity. Your job is to pair it with wisdom. That is how you heal without losing your heart and without losing yourself. I have seen people carry betrayal like a badge, turning it into personality, turning it into constant suspicion. They become trapped in a small world where no one is safe. That is not protection. That is slow suffering. I have also seen people heal and become calmer, wiser, and more compassionate, not because they became weak, but because they refused to become bitter. They refuse to let a wound define them. And sometimes the most powerful proof of healing is simple. You can be kind again without being naive. You can love again without losing boundaries. You can be open again without surrendering your dignity. Now, let us close with a reflection that you can carry. Betrayal is a moment when someone showed you their character. Healing is the process of you shaping yours. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer in the comments if you feel safe to share. What part of betrayal is hardest for you to release? The anger, the sadness, the loss of trust, or the shame you put on yourself? And what has helped you even a little? A conversation, a practice, a boundary, a new mindset. Share your story. Someone reading it will feel less alone. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment so more people can find this conversation. And if you want to support the channel at a deeper level, consider joining the membership so we can keep making long-form content that does not just entertain but actually helps people live with more clarity, more compassion, and more inner strength. Thank you for being here. Take care of your mind, protect your heart with wisdom, and I will see you in the next video.